Hi, this is Abram, the Neckbeard Wizard,
And I've helped hundreds of people build their own D&D table.
with my plans and through our Discord community.
And in this video, I wanted to show you how you can upgrade your 42 or 43-inch TV to a 50-inch TV to maximize your playing space without altering your original build.
If you haven't built your own table, check us out on NeckbeardWizard.com, and I'll see you in our Discord community. For this mod, all you need is a 50-inch TV and a Phillips head screwdriver. Here's the table before with the 43-inch TV. This is my prototype table, so it has slightly different configurations than you might have. But here is that same table with a 50-inch TV. And you can see there's a lot more playing space.
Here's the top-down view of the original prototype table. Yours will have a DM cabinet.
So in between the short edge of this TV and the wall of the TV vault, your space will be a lot smaller. But nonetheless, it'll still fit the 50-inch TV. The TV that I've used in this build will be the 50-inch on Roku 4K TV. You can get it at Walmart right now for about $180. I bought mine used in really good condition for $100 on Facebook Marketplace. So check all your local listings before you go down to Walmart or wherever your supplier is and see if you can get a better price. Okay, so what we have here is the profile of the TV. And what I want to show here is you'll notice that the top of the television there is a pretty narrow profile, this slim profile at the top, and then it bumps out here towards the middle. This is where all of the electronics of the TV reside. So that bump out is part of the motherboard and other components, and at the bottom here there are speakers and a couple other things that support the legs. So at the top here, from here to about here is 2 inches. So 2 inches is a little bit shy of what the depth of the TV vault is in the NeckbeardWizard table. So inside the table, between the foam mat and the top of where the LED lights and the edge where the toppers sit on is about 2 3/8 of an inch. So we're just underneath that, but you notice down here we're pretty proud of that. So here is a much wider profile, and so we need to make sure that we fit within this 2 inches. So the television from here works just fine inside of laying it on top inside of the TV vault, but this is problematic. So this is where we'll need to do a little bit of surgery. Now, before we take the TV apart, I wanted to show you the top view of the table with the TV removed. You'll notice the cavity there. That's important because that's where the old TV sat inside of. The new TV will sit on top of, and it's just convenient that the backing of the new TV will fit in mostly into that space, but we'll need to take some of the back paneling off to make that work. So the plan here is to take out the components that are too wide to fit in the cavity that we have. So the bottom portion of this TV is the speakers. So we want to remove that. And I've removed, in this case, all of the screws on the back panel. With the screws removed, now I can just remove the plastic paneling from the back. In this case, it's two separate pieces. This rectangular piece and then the bottom piece where the speakers are. So I'm just going to pry that open, and you'll see at the bottom of this image here there's the power cable comes through that, so that's just held on there by a grommet. It needs to be popped off and it's free. And then what we'll do now is remove the paneling or the housing around the speakers. Do this carefully because there are wires attached to the actual panel. As you'll see, there are two different wires. One goes to the RF receiver, the other one goes to the Wi-Fi module, and that is important. We want to keep that if we want this TV to stay a smart TV. So here's a picture of it. What we'll do is carefully remove these wires. They're just taped on in this case, and we'll be able to mount those in another location as we complete the build. And here's a close-up of the Wi-Fi module, and I'll show you how to remove that. First, you take this antenna and you can just pop that off. It's just a little button connector, and you just pull that with your fingers and it should pop right off. The next is a ribbon cable, and it has a little latch on it, and you'll see I'm putting my finger underneath it and using my fingernail to lift that lever, and then the cable should just slide right down. Now here's the RF sensor, and so what we want to do in that, it's in a little housing of its own, and it's just slid into place. So I will just pry that off, and I apologize for the poor videography. I was trying to do this one-handed with the phone in my hand to record. Come on. See that little clip there? I'm trying to pry that open, and it is free. Now we'll take the tape off of that to set this aside. This is important because without this piece, your remote will not work, so do not break this. Now I'm removing the tape on the Wi-Fi module, and it is free. The Wi-Fi module is still attached, as you can see in this image. Now we simply remove the Wi-Fi module and we'll relocate it somewhere else on the back of the TV so that it still works. To take it off, all you need to do is pry it a little bit. It just has this foam double-sided tape on it, and the antenna as well. It pries right off, and there's a piece of tape that you can just peel right off. With the Wi-Fi module removed, now we can reassemble it by putting this antenna with the button connector back onto the module, and you simply just line it up with that button receiver and press it to clip it into place. Now with that installed, we need to reconnect it to the ribbon cable, and this connection here, it's pretty easy to do. You just have to make sure that the ribbon is facing the appropriate orientation, and then line it up into that connector, making sure that the little latch on it is open, and then once you have it slid in, you can just close the latch and that'll clamp it into place. Now I need to relocate it, so I've placed it here on the back of the TV. This is not the permanent location for it. I will relocate it to the back panel, or the housing that covers the motherboard section. That will be a little bit better for connectivity to the Wi-Fi module itself. The antenna will be inside of the TV vault cavity, so that will give it more open air to have a signal. Now we'll remove some of the unnecessary parts that will get in the way later. These are the bases or the mounts for the feet, if you were to install the feet on the television. There's just 4 screws on each one. There's 2 of these, so we just remove those and put them aside. The last thing to do in this section is to remove these speakers. There's 2 of them in this TV. I don't need them because I'm using a soundbar attached to the TV, so it's a much better quality with the subwoofer, and it just resonates throughout the room. But you might want to keep them if you don't have such a setup. So carefully remove these, and then think of a way that you can mount them underneath the table or inside of the TV vault out of sight, so that they will still work but don't have to be in the way of the cavity inside the TV vault that we are going to place this in. Now to remove these, it's quite simple. They have these little rubber fasteners, or whatever they're called, but they're wedged into a hole to fasten this piece into place. And you can see here I try to pull one out by pushing up on it and release it from the actual speaker. But what I found is that just pulling it straight out works better because it comes out in one piece. So you see here, I've done this, pull it out, and hey, it comes out all together in one piece. So I do that for the second one. I just pull it out in one piece. The other thing that holds these speakers onto the TV are these little adhesive strips that you can just pull away, and do so carefully not to pull the wiring and break those. So you can see I set that one aside. Now the second one, I'm going to use that pull straight forward and not even worry about the rubber fastener. Now those are free. You can see that there are little connectors on the wiring that connect the speakers to the TV. I will remove those and not reinstall them in my case because I don't need them, but you might want to. So you can remove them for now for ease of manipulating the rest of this build, but then you might want to reinstall those later and under the table or inside the TV vault where you cannot see them. Now here's the top view again of the original TV, and what we're going to do is remove it. Now this is the empty space where the new TV will be installed. So to finish the modifications to the TV set, I'm going to replace this panel, which I originally wasn't going to do, but it seemed like it was going to, everything was going to fit with it installed. So I installed this panel. I left the speaker panel off, and I'll just reattach all of the screws. With the back panel installed, I decided to reroute some of the modules. So the Wi-Fi module I mounted to the back of that panel, and the RF sensor I mounted to the top so that it'll still be visible by the remote when I try to use the remote. So the next thing to do is to install the new TV. And as you can see, it fits quite nicely inside the TV vault. The trade-off with this mod is that we lose some of the depth in our TV vault. Now I've found after playing, this doesn't really affect the user experience, but it does affect any storage that you might have received out of that vault. I used to store a lot of the minis and some of the equipment that we use inside of that area, which we no longer have. So that, if that's important to you, that's something you might want to consider before going into a bigger build, a bigger TV like this. With that said, what do we do with this extra space to make it more usable? Well, my solution was to build a platform that we can extend the TV playing surface onto. So as you can see, I'm using this XPS foam, and I will make a grid pattern into it, add some texturing, and then install it into those awkward cavity spaces that allow the playing space to be extended. Now in my setup, I have this speaker bar or the sound bar that is inside the TV vault, and so yours might be different. You'll have to take your measurements and know the space that you need to fill. But in my case, what I decided to do is use a graduated staircase or graduated step platform to fill that space. This was done by using progressively thinner strips of the XPS foam, to which I glued to chipboard to make it more structurally sound. And then primered it with a good coating of Mod Podge and black paint. Then I was going to continue the painting process and make it look like some kind of ancient ruined stone or something like that. But what I realized was this is going to be used in multiple different settings, so keeping it black would allow it to adapt to any theme that I wanted to throw at it. And just like that, we are finished with this NeckbeardWizard Table Mod. If you want to upgrade your TV from the 42 or 43 inch TV that the plans are originally made for to this 50 inch TV, definitely give it a shot. I spent about $100 and maybe $10 on this, including all of the paint and Mod Podge and foam that I use to make the extended platform. But your prices may vary. I would highly recommend it. My players have loved using the larger surface, and the maps scale well for this, using something like Dynamic Dungeons or other animated maps out there. If you found this table mod useful, please like and subscribe. It helps with the channel, but it also helps me know where to focus my energy on future content. And if you haven't built your own table yet, go to NeckbeardWizard.com, buy the plan, and I will personally help you build your own. Until next time, happy building and happy gaming.